Welcome back to another Metal Mondays. We just played Bodies on Bodies from Violence and The Paradox from At the Gates. As you know, we always start Monday off with Violence. We have a lovely guest with us. We have Adam from Lorna Shore. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fucking fantastic, man. Well, let's get into this. You guys brought Will Ramos on tour last year. What was the process of picking him as your temporary singer during that time?
So basically we needed to fill in and we were reaching out to a bunch of people. I stumbled across some of his YouTube channel with a bunch of his covers. I was like, this sounds great. I called my drummer Austin and I was gonna mention to him and ironically enough, he was like, yeah, someone mentioned Will to me. And we're like, cool, why don't you just give him the instrumental? I know we're talking to a bunch of people, but it doesn't hurt having, more people kind of potentially filling in. So, if one doesn't work out, we have another one. We sent him two instrumental tracks. He sent them back one takes and they were phenomenal. And I was like, this is awesome. And he also lives in New Jersey. So we were like, listen, everyone else kind of lived all across the country. And I was like, we can get more practice in with Will because he lives 30 minutes from us. So we can have more practice in. Mm-hmm. And also, quite frankly, he's the most equipped because if we have to play a show tomorrow, he can nail these songs live already. So it's this is awesome. And then, I wanted to take a trial run. I don't want to just put someone in the band because you don't know how someone's going to be. So when we went on tour, he did a great job. He was, fun to hang around with. He was helping the band out, selling merch, bringing gear in. He was hanging out with fans. So all stuff that we want to see, and then when we got home from tour, obviously all of last year happened. So things were kind of quiet. And for me, the next step was it's great that he's good, on tour. It's great that he can cover material, but I want to know how it sounds with him on a fresh Lorna Shore track. So basically kind of had to pull some strings, get us to go into the studio. And then, because I was like, this will be his last test. Because if he can do a good job on Lorna Shore songs, then obviously he has a spot. Because we didn't want to just put someone in and then we go to the studio and it doesn't work out and we have to find another vocalist. I just didn't want to do that. So I could just while we have the time now during last year, let's just make sure we have everything right. And then we went to the studio and he did the 3 songs and he sounded awesome and there was no real complaints. Lyrically, he was talking about what we wanted to talk about. He sounded awesome. He was fun to work with. He was just, he was, meshing really, really well with our producer, Josh. So everything was just awesome. And it was just it was a seamless fit. And we're super excited about him.
Definitely. It definitely seems like it. With you guys recently letting him be a permanent member, what was the process writing and recording this EP with him?
So basically, when we write music, it's generally speaking kind of the same order. It's basically me writing a bunch of ideas and then myself and Austin putting it together. This was Andrew's first record actually with the band, so he was involved in the process. So it was just the 3 of us kind of putting the songs together. And then we gave it to him and gave it to Will. And when we were in the studio, we were finalizing the 3 songs because we wrote 6 or 7 and had a bunch of ideas. So we were okay, we got to figure out which of the 3 songs to be on this EP. Once we solidified the EP, he went into in Josh's studio. He has a Studio B set up. So he was in there just every day, just pre-proing ideas and trying ideas and writing lyrics and whatnot. So he was just working really hard. He had so many songs and lyrics written. So it was more so than just filtering through what works the best. And it was just really awesome because, he felt he wasn't prepared, but I was like, dude, you're way more prepared than most people are. You have a ton of lyrics. You are sitting there demoing ideas every single day. You're trying all these different things out even before you're even done vocals. So he was just kind of working on it. And it was just great because I think we didn't have to hold his hand too much. We just pretty much, he was here's a bunch of ideas I want to write about these concepts. And we're that is awesome. I didn't have to tell you what to write about. And you kind of spoke for the band. And that's awesome. That's what we wanted to do with a vocalist. And then, yeah, all we really did is myself, him, and Josh were just kind of figuring out what goes where, and it was really fun to work with him because he was down to try stuff out, and even if they were crazy ideas that didn't work, he was yeah, cool, I'll give it a shot, and if it didn't work, it didn't work. So it was just really awesome to just work with him in the studio because it felt like we all had an ability to just bounce off each other creatively, which just feels really fun in that environment for us. So.
And with you guys saying, because you just said you guys wrote about 6-7 songs, what made you guys do a 3-track EP?
Well, we were just only going to do a 3-track EP. It's not so basically my thing is that I like to be over prepared. It's better to come in with more songs than less. This is the first time we've ever done that. Usually in the past, we either come in, if we're doing a 10-song album, we only come in with 10 songs. So you kind of have to take what you can get. Whereas this time around, I was I heard a quote from Rick Rubin or something from Rick Rubin, the esteemed producer. He's saying if you're going to work with him, he wants you to do 2.5 times the amount of material that you're commissioned for. So for instance, if you're going to do a 10-song album, he wants you to write 25 songs. So I was okay, bring it to scale. If we're doing a 3-song EP, writing 8 songs is probably a good scale. So we basically wrote 6 completed songs and we started a bunch of other stuff. So we didn't hit the 8-song mark, but we hit somewhat of a mark. So
Dang, that's crazy to come in with that many and only use a few. So, with you guys coming out with an EP, do you see with whatever reaction your fans give you with this EP that you guys are going to come out with the record maybe next year?
Yeah, so actually, as of now, we're starting to write the next record. We're going into the studio in November to do the full length. So we want to just maintain the momentum, and our focus is, the EP was basically just to unveil Will and be like, here's some songs. But I think the real heavy lifting is going to be we're going to do the full length and have it come out for next year. So I think from now till November is when we go into the studio. We're just going to be kind of outside of playing those 4 shows. It's going to be focused on writing the record, and we're gonna do a 10-song record, so we got to write 25, 30 songs. So
That's insane. So you guys are going to stick with the same producer you guys went with on this EP?
yeah, so we love Josh. We worked with him on Immortal. Loved working with him on the EP. Love working with him. I mean, I think that he just gets the band. I think he gets that we want to be over the top, extreme, push the limits and everything else like that. And he's all for it. He doesn't really stifle us with rules. We've worked with a lot of producers where it's like, well, you can't do this, you can't do that, and you can't do this. He's just like, there's no playbook. I'm burning the playbook. I'm throwing it over my shoulder, and we're tossing it at the side, and we're going to do whatever the hell we want to do. And I'm like, this is the person I want to work with, because we have crazy ideas, and I don't want my creativity to be stepped on by someone with these artificial rules that, like, who the fuck wrote them anyway? And so it's just awesome. He's just like, yeah, if you guys want to write a 9-minute long song, I'm here for it. They're not like, oh, well, you got to write a 3.5-minute long song. That's what you got to do. It's like, that's a dumb rule. And we're not going to do it. So it's just awesome to work with him, because I think he gets the band, he gets each individual member. And I think personally, I think he's the best producer under the sun. So I'm going to go to where I feel who's the best for us.
Definitely. And what I noticed is from your 3 tracks, they are pretty long songs. Wasn't expecting that, but they all came out really good for the length of them, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's not like we plan to write good, like, long songs. Just like, if you just have something to say and it takes this long to say it, like, why not? Like, people love Lord of the Rings. Those are long movies, and it would be a weird movie if Lord of the Rings was an hour and a half. Like, that would be fitting the arbitrary, like, movie time, right? Like, it's like, oh, well, every movie is an hour and a half, so you can't sum up Lord of the Rings in an hour and a half. I mean, the extended cut of Return of the King is, I think, like 4 hours, and even the regular version is like 2.5 hours long, and there's still stuff that's missing from it. So I think for us to bring it metaphorically to that, it's like, we have stuff to say, and then we want to say it, and it's just awesome that people feel like it's not that long of a song, because you see 6 minutes, you're like, damn, it's a long song. But a lot of people feedback for us has been, it goes by really quick. So I'm like, that's good. At least it feels like the songs don't drag on, and it feels like, oh shit, I didn't realize 6 minutes has gone by. So we want to take people on a journey. We're not here to give you some instant satisfaction. We want you to sit down, put on the headphones, listen to it, and just sit and sulk, not like kind of listen to it passively. So we want to take you on a ride. So if it means taking you on a 6-minute long song, then gotta buckle up.
Definitely. Well, let's get in some tunes. We're gonna play Desecration of Flesh from Broken Glass Sanctuary here on Razor Radio. Oh, right, we're coming back from Demolisher, from Slaughter to Prevail. So let's get back into this. With you saying, like, you're taking us basically on a journey, I felt that, from start to finish, it was crazy. You guys have these, like, tracks in the beginning where it's like kind of like, I want to say holy, but like, and then it goes into being very hard. And I actually like that. You bring it into us, to like climbing. And I like that when music goes like that. Yeah,
I mean, I think we just try to be as dynamic as possible. So we try to, again, I wish that maybe unconsciously we're thinking of these things, but I don't know, we're just all kind of bouncing off each other. It just kind of works out in the studio. But it just seems like we just want to be dynamic and take people on all different spectrums of the song. So, for instance, having Hellfire start off with an acoustic guitar, and then it just builds into this thing, and it just kind of takes you on this, like, journey, is kind of what we want to do. I mean, and I think that we're just not afraid to just try stuff out. And if we try it out and we're like, this doesn't work, then you can just delete it. The world's not going to stop. If we put acoustic guitar in a song and all of a sudden it doesn't work, no one's going to take my house. So it's like, why not try to do something? Like, no one's going to put a gun to my head and be like, oh, you put acoustic guitar in the beginning of the song, like, that's it. Sorry. It's like, no, it's like, so we just try stuff. And if it kind of works with what the purpose is, if we want to have a long, slow crawl intro, like, that fits the value of this part, then why not try it? But if the part is to start off right away in your face, then, like, we would approach it differently. But we want to have a long, slow crawl and build you into it and build the tension and the intensity. And then, like, so that's why we do stuff that we do. But I think we always have a purpose for everything that we do. It's always a lot of whys. So why are we doing this? Not a lot of application. It's just like, why do we want to do the thing that we want to do? And I think the how and the what comes after that. But I'm very much I'm the why guy in the band. I'm very much, why are we doing this? And I'm sure people get very frustrated because I'm asking a lot of questions, but I want to know why we're doing the thing that we're doing, and then the what and the application and the how makes more sense. So that's why there's an acoustic guitar in the beginning of Hellfire. So because it's like, we want to build this long slow crawl, so let's try this thing out. So.
And with you guys writing these 3 songs, like how long did these 3 exact songs take to write with the music, and how it all came together for you guys?
So I think I was writing a lot during like from this time last year. So like through like late spring into the summer, and I wrote a lot of the ideas. I think the oldest song on the EP is, well, the oldest kind of almost completed song is the last song, the title track, and I Return to Nothingness. But it just kind of comes from a bunch of different places. Like the chorus to Hellfire was the first riff I ever wrote after we did Immortal. So like that was something I was sitting on since like 2019. So it's like all over the place. So it was just a lot of ideas that I wrote during the pandemic. And then we were in the studio in November. So a lot of it was like solidified, I'd say, in like the fall. So like September, October, November is when like we started putting pieces together. But yeah, I think it's just been like a lot of most of the heavy bulk of solidifying ideas was, I would say, like October, November. But we were just kind of bouncing stuff back and forth and just kind of building upon it since around this time, because I would just show the band, here's a bunch of riffs that I have. What do we think about this? And then we just had that's why we were able to write 6 songs, 6 completed songs, because I just had a bunch of ideas that we were able to put into a song. And then, for like 2 weeks before the studio, myself, Austin, and Andrew were just writing every day and just kind of like working on this song. And all right, cool, let's finish this song. Let's work on that song. Let's work on that song. So it was just I think a back and forth process from, I'd say, about May, June into about November. So, yeah, definitely, but it was not like a consistent thing, because during the summer it was like we had no idea that we were going to do an EP. It was until like I think about August where we actually decided to go into the studio, and then that's when sort of the more so the decision making started coming into place. But yeah, I'd say it was just me writing during the pandemic, and then us making decisions in the fall of what goes where.
And how long did it take you guys to write this EP? Record this EP?
So we were in the studio for 2 weeks. So I'd say the first couple of days as we were kind of filtering through all the material and being like, well, what is the best thing that we have? And then, so I'd say about the first couple of days, we were just listening to everything, figuring out what goes where, and then what are the 3 songs we want to choose. And then once we had that solidified, then it turned into recording all the stuff. And then, so we just, and because we had 2 weeks, we took our time. So we didn't feel like we had a rush, which was actually really, really nice. There was not a lot of pressure. It was like, all right, cool. Like we got this done today. And there's no pressure, there's no rush. So we were able to try stuff out. We were able to go, let's see how this works. And Will was able to recut vocals. And he was like, we would get bounces every day, and Will would listen to him a bunch and go, okay, cool. I actually want to change this vocally. Or I'd be like, hey, I want to do this or whatever. So it was just nice to have that time allotted for us rather than like feeling rushed. So it was about 2 weeks, but it was a slow 2 weeks. But it was definitely nice. And also we were there during Thanksgiving. So there was so we had Thanksgiving with our producer Josh and his wife Sarah. So that was really nice to feel like you had some sort of family holiday. But yeah, it was definitely nice within that. We watched Field of Dreams. We had a nice like family dinner. It was a good time being in the studio. It was actually one of my favorite times of last year, to be completely honest.
Sounds like a hell of a time if you guys are watching Field of Dreams.
Yeah, I was in a place where I was just like love watching like feel good sports films. So before, so every day after, so we're all staying at my drummer Austin's house. Every day after we were writing all day, we would watch some sort of like feel good sports film. So we watched like Remember the Titans, Miracle, Invincible. I was like, we're working so hard all day that like, you're thinking so much. You just want to watch like a nice feel good film with your friends. Mm-hmm. And I would force everyone to watch some sort of like heartfelt sports movie. So I just kind of carried that over, because I talked to Josh about this and he's like, oh, have you seen Field of Dreams? I was like, no. He's like, so Thanksgiving we'll watch Field of Dreams. So yeah, so we watched Field of Dreams, and made me want to call my dad and talk about baseball, but so yeah.
So no, the Mighty Ducks, none of that happened?
We watched D2. I'm sorry, we did watch D2 as well.
I was gonna say, but yeah, going into the studio, did you have a game plan on how you wanted your guitar to sound?
Never. I never do. I'm so focused on like I care more about like the songs. That like I don't really think about like the tone of stuff or what I want my guitar to sound like. I just want it to like fit the song. So like if it just sounds crushing and in your face, then it does. But I think everyone says, as a guitar player and as a musician, like the tone is in your hands. So like regardless of what amp you plug me in, it's gonna sound like me. Obviously things would have a different tonal characteristic, but the tone's in your hands. The way you pick the strings, the way you play the guitar is really gonna influence the way the amp responds to it. So I don't really think about it. I have confidence that like if I want something to be heavy, it'll sound heavy. I pick almost too hard anyway, and I play the guitar almost too hard anyway, so it's gonna come out. The amps will respond to it, but I'm not really a tone snob when it comes to it. I'm just more so like I care more about the other stuff. Like that's why I trust someone like Josh. I'm like, does this sound good? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, cool. I trust you. Like I don't have to care for it. I just want to. I don't have patience anyway. I'm a bad doctor. I have no patience. So yeah. So I care more about what the songs sound like. What am I doing on guitar than I care about the tone. That's for me. I wish I had the patience to be like, let's get tone sounding good and do all this sort of stuff. I'm just like, this works. I'm fine with it. And people have been like, oh, your tone sounds great. I'm like, I don't even think anything of it. So
when you do write music though, do you go for a specific sound for the actual music then? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so I always have a vision for each song, and then we had a vision for the EP. So we usually sit down and brainstorm like what do we want each song to be like, and I even have it in my notebook, in my notepad on my phone, like what I wanted each song to be, and those songs came out that way. Not coincident or not uncoincidentally, it very much came out that way on purpose. So just more so a vision, like what do you want this song to be like, and then that why brings, as I said, the how, and brings the what in the application, because you're like, okay, would you want the song to be a dark, heavy song? It's not ironic that Hellfire is a dark and heavy song, because literally that was a vision for it. It's meant to be a dark and heavy song, over the top. It's gonna be a good softball for vocals. And like, is it that song? 1,000%. So it just made it really easy when you have a vision for a song of like what you want to do. And then when I write a bunch of parts, and I'm like, does this part give me a vibe that it fits the vision or the narrative for any one of these songs? If the answer is yes, let's try to put it in there. If the answer is no, then let's find a place for it or whatnot. So it's always about having a vision for each song and trying to find what you want to say. And I feel like that to me has made writing songs that much easier, rather than like rolling the dice and kind of just like experimenting, putting things together. And sometimes that's fun, but for me, when you don't have a purpose, it just feels like you're kind of just putting things together for the sake of it and hoping it sounds good. So
definitely. Well, let's get into some more tunes. We're going to play Vortex from Ginger here on Razor Radio. All right, we're coming back from Holy Roller from Spirit Box. Such a great track. Well, let's get back into this, because you guys said you guys had 7 songs. Did any of those songs were like the leftover from the last record you guys came out with?
Will they be left over?
Like, meaning like, so some songs don't make it on a record. Were any of those from that record?
Oh, from like Immortal, you mean?
Yes.
Or
yes.
No. So Immortal, we had nothing left over. So I think for this record, this upcoming full length that we're gonna do in the fall, I think some of the stuff that we wrote for the EP may go on it in some sort of way, shape, or form. But I think we made a decision. We're like, hey, this song is cool, but like I think it will be better on the full length. So I think there definitely is a song or two that we didn't use on the EP that will make it onto the full length. And obviously the songs on the EP will not go on the full length. It's a thing of its own. We want to write 10 brand new songs. We don't want to bring the other 3 songs onto the full length. So basically, if there's stuff that left over from the EP writing sessions that didn't make the EP, I think we'll try to get on the full length, but there's no guarantee. There's stuff that I will fight for because I liked a lot that just didn't unfortunately make it. But hey, we'll see. I still have no idea. But yeah, I'm hoping some stuff makes it, because there's some stuff that I really, really like that just unfortunately didn't make sense on the EP. So on the full length, hopefully it's there, because there's definitely some really, really good ideas that we're sitting on that haven't been used yet.
And so with Will being the singer, does he write the lyrics, or do you guys all come up with lyrics together?
So he writes the lyrics. He writes a lot. I mean, last year was the first time I ever tried writing lyrics, and I sent it to him, and we didn't use them, but it felt cool to just like, kind of therapeutic to kind of get my thoughts out in a creative medium. So I sent it to him, and maybe, I'll continue writing more lyrics, and if we never use them, that's okay. It's just nice for me. But I think he writes a lot of the lyrics, and I think it's nice because he's also willing to work with the band. So I think we now have an ability to kind of just like get our thoughts out, and how it worked on the EP was he wrote a bunch of lyrics, and myself and Josh were really helping him like solidify him, because he had so many songs written and so much lyrics. It's like, let's just try to figure out this thing for that thing. And he wrote a lot of it, but then, we would come in and kind of like help guide him a little bit and be like, oh, let's try this word, let's try this pattern, let's save this for here and save that for there. So it felt like he was coming up with all the ideas, and myself and Josh were kind of help him organize them or organize it. And it's cool because like I play guitar because I don't know how to write songs. I don't know how to write lyrics. So that's kind of why I know what my role is. My role is to create the musical background. I'm more of a melody driven person. Even when it comes to me listening to music, I always listen to music first. I can listen to songs and lyrics are absolutely terrible. I'm like, this song slaps, and lyrics are god awful. I'm like, I don't really care. The music is awesome. So I know my role, I know my place, and it's cool to kind of give my insight, but it generally comes from Will, and seeing the stuff that he talks about and what he wrote on the EP is some of my favorite lyrics, especially the title track "And I Return to Nothingness" is, I think, my favorite song lyrically. And I think it's just really awesome to have that and have that trust in him that he can deliver the message of the band that can sum up how the other three members, like meaning myself, Andrew, and Austin, feel. So we trust him, but he's also open to us kind of giving him suggestions and guidance and feedback. So it's definitely good, and it's nice to have that, because if we had to write lyrics, or if I had to write lyrics, that we not terrible, but it wouldn't make sense.
Definitely, because I know a lot of singers like to write the lyrics anyways, because they're the one that has to say it. So it makes sense, but it's just cool to know.
I was saying that, yeah, it's definitely it's like the same way. I wouldn't want someone to play my guitar parts.
Yeah.
You know, so with some people like say suggestions, like, why don't you do this? Like that's different than someone like Austin writing a guitar riff and being like, here, play this. It's just like, no, that's not me. So let me just try to make it me. So it's kind of like the same thing we do with lyrics. It's like, this is their idea. Like, here, why don't you try something like this? And then they'll make it themselves. And that's kind of metaphorical equivalent, or parallel rather, of our world.
Makes sense. I agree with you. So what was the process picking the way the songs are lined up on the EP?
Lyrically, it made the most sense because it's a lyrical concept where it's about death, afterlife, and rebirth. So death being to the hellfire, afterlife being of the abyss, and rebirth being and a return to nothingness. So that's kind of the reason why they go in that order. It's just because it's a lyrical concept album, so it just made the most sense to go in that kind of fashion. Yeah, that's the reason why they're in that order, I would say. And
what made you guys name the EP "And I Return to Nothing"?
So this is like my brainchild, if you will, my creative brainchild. A very long, stressful day for me, because I was just like, I felt like I don't really do well with words, as I mentioned. So for me trying to figure this thing out, I was like, I want to do something different, because we had titles for the songs and like they would have worked and it would have been fine. But I was like, I just don't feel like it doesn't have enough juice for me. So I wanted to do something. I've always seen bands who would have like a full length. They'd have 10 songs, and then the titles of each track make like a sentence. Like, so for instance, like the band Acacia Strain put out an album called Comes in Waves, and all the title of each song together, we look at it, makes up a whole sentence. And I was like, that's really cool, but we can't do it with 3 songs. So I was like, how could we do it with 3 songs? And then I came across the idea of a haiku, which is a 3 line poem. And I was like, oh, maybe we can do that with these 3 songs. So then I looked into more research, and I forgot a haiku was like, the form is 5 syllables, 7 syllable, 5 syllable. And I was like, okay. And I knew the second song was going to be Of the Abyss, which wasn't 7 syllables. So I was like, okay, so then so I have to make it 17. It's not going to be an exact haiku, but it's going to be somewhat of a haiku. So how I came about with everything else like that was just being like, I need 17 syllables. Let me try to make a statement. So the statement is, to the hellfire, of the abyss, and I return to nothingness. So it's like a one long sentence. Right. It's just basically this person going to the hellfire, of the abyss, and I return to nothingness. It's just a cyclical statement. And where I got "And I Return to Nothingness" from was the lyrics in the chorus of "And I Return to Nothingness" is ash to ash, dust to dust, which is somewhat from a biblical verse. And within that biblical verse, it's into nothing I return, I think, is one of the statements. I'm not mistaken. So I kind of was messing with that, and I was like, how can I make this a statement? And then I came up with "And I Return to Nothingness," which kind of felt like the idea of rebirth, because even during 2020, like as musicians, we felt very worthless. So like coming back to life and rebirth felt like we're coming back to meaningless life, because you've decided, or you as in whoever the powers that be has decided, that being a musician, being an artist, you're useless, basically, because we're non-essential, but everyone consumes us. But anyways, I digress. So I was like, I felt like, at that point in time, I felt my life was meaningless. Personally, from just my place, and even just the idea of as a musician felt meaningless. So it just felt like rebirth, being reborn back to life, felt like, oh, now I'm back to returning to this nothingness that is existence. And obviously, that's just kind of how it all came about. Was this, I want to push the creative side of it to make this sort of like meaningful, like nugget of information, of just making this haiku poem. Yeah. Sum up the lyrics and the theme of all the songs. So when you're making this into like a haiku kind of poem, would you say this is like a what would you say? Concept record. It was in my mind. Yeah, because Will already had it as a concept record, so he was like, lyrically it's already a concept record. So I was just trying to like tie that even more into a concept record, because like the lyrics for each song were already a concept about this person passing, going into the afterlife, becoming like one, I guess, with the afterlife, and then from that point you return back to earth. And or return back to existence. So we already had the lyrical concept. So like, why not have the song names and the album like represent that? Because like originally it was just like the song titles were just kind of like they worked, but it was just kind of like it wasn't elongating or it wasn't expanding upon rather the concept of the lyrics. So I just wanted to like really also bring that out as well.
And do you guys see when you guys do the full length as doing another concept record?
We've been toying with the idea of that. Not really. We're like open to doing it because I like concept for albums. I think it makes sense, but then I'd also want to be attached to it. So I don't know. We're definitely open to the idea of it. We were kind of bouncing ideas of doing some sort of concept record. Again, at least lyrically, but we don't really know just yet, and I don't want to put ourselves into a box. So yeah, I mean, if it does come about and it works, like I'm all for it because I love concept records. It makes sense, and it's like this is really cool. It tells a story, and if we end up doing 10 songs that like aren't tied to anything, like that's also awesome too, because that's how it's supposed to be. But I've always pushed for concept records, and since this EP was a concept record, and it I like it a lot. I'm definitely going to lean more towards a concept record, but it has to be the right concept and the right idea. If it just feels like it's not really working, then I would not want to do that. But yeah, I'm open to it either way.
Well, that's cool. Well, let's get in some more tunes. We're actually going to play some Lorna Shore. We're going to play To the Hellfire from Lorna Shore here on Razor Radio. Oh, right. We're coming back from Of the Abyss from Lorna Shore. This is probably my favorite song actually off of this EP. I love everything you guys did with it. Do you have a favorite song?
Oh, the title track's my favorite song the band ever wrote, hands down. But I love Of the Abyss. I think the chorus is my favorite on the entire record. So I think the lyrics for the chorus is probably my favorite thing. I think the lyrics for the chorus, I think, really sum up just how the band feels or how I felt being in a band. Just the lyric, misbegotten children of the abyss. I felt like that's who we are as a band. We're just the cast aside bastard child of the metal world. I felt like we had a claw to be acknowledged. We had a claw to be, here we are. And instead of trying to fit in with the cool group, it's just like, what, fuck it. We might as well just adopt being this like bastard child of the metal world. And like, instead of trying to fit in. And it just feels like that just, to me, just sums up the essence of who we are as a band. Just like, we've always felt like we've been this bastard child of this metal world and like couldn't really fit into this nice neat box. And I think now we're just kind of like wearing it more and wearing it with pride. Cause it's just like, what, like if we're going to be the bastard child, just own it. And if we're not going to be accepted into the cool community or the inner circle, like fuck the inner circle. So that's kind of why I feel passionately about that chorus, because it's just, we tried so hard to fit in that just like, and it wasn't happening. So like, fuck it. Right.
I think it's smarter not to fit in, because then when you fit in, you're like going to be in like this puzzle, and then you're going to be in this cookie cutter box for the rest of your guys' career. When if you guys are out of it and you're putting out music that's a little different, because your music is a little different from the genre you would consider you guys. So I think it's cool that you guys are doing something different. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, it's always felt hard for us to fit in, because it's like within like certain genres, like we do some things of that genre, but we also do other things that are like taboo, if you will. Taboo from who decided, I don't know who has decided that it's taboo to do these sort of things. And I also think genres are a social or man-made construct that feels kind of stupid. Why do we abide by them?
I agree.
I think it's the dumbest thing in the under the sun. Talk to me about it. I don't really care. It serves no purpose. It serves limitations of, I can't do these things. I can only do these things. And that stifles on creativity. So like, if I want to write extreme, death metal inspired parts and then put a super heavy breakdown, like who's going to tell me otherwise? Nobody. And I'm not going to listen to people telling me otherwise. So because of that mentality, we haven't fit into certain boxes. And it just felt like, since we never fit in, we're always trying to. And now it's just like, let's just be ourselves. Fuck it, and might as well own it, instead of being like, trying to be accepted into this like inner circle, because like, I never was accepted into any inner circle, so like, that just seems like the theme anyway, so might as well just ride it.
I agree, and that's the best way to be anyways, because then you're going to be your own self, and you're not trying to fit this form and copy everyone else like everyone does in the scene, as you know. So it's smart.
Exactly. We don't want to play it safe. We want to do things that we want to do and not be like, we have to do these things because that's the expectation that's been given to us by not even ourselves, by somebody else. And that just seems to me like a waste of time. So yeah, I think that chorus specifically just really sums up, I think, how the band has always felt, or like how I always felt being in this band for the years I've been doing this thing. And I just felt like we were always just kind of cast out. And I think just that lyric really just sums up just how I feel being in Lorna Shore, and how Lorna Shore's journey has always been. And just like, we were just always kind of cast to the side, and and now I think we're just owning it rather than resisting it.
So who designed the album cover?
So the guy Kalen Stokerman, he did our artwork for Immortal, he put the layout together, but the actual art that you're seeing comes from an artist named Mariusz Lewandowski. If I'm pronouncing his name wrong, I apologize. He's this Polish painter that I've been following since like 2019. And I was seeing a bunch of artwork that he was doing. I was like, it's really, really cool. It's just like super unique. And I was seeing that over last year, he was starting to do more art. Like, saw a bunch of other bands were using his artwork. And I was like, I want to do something different. So basically, we reached out to him, and he was, if he was going to do a one-on-one, like artwork for us, it was going to be too expensive and take too long. Like, we can't afford that. But he was like, hey, if you like some of the stuff that I do, you can obviously commission it and use it for your artwork. So we did that, and we were just kind of going through it, and like I saw this and it caught my eye. I was like, this is so cool. This like weird, like light blue, like white, background with this red kind of Grim Reaper looking thing. And just like, this just kind of sums up the lyrics. I mean, the song To the Hellfire, in the chorus, we mentioned Ezreal, which is labeled the Angel of Death, and they've been represented as the Grim Reaper somewhat. So it kind of fits into that kind of theme. And since it's about death, afterlife, and rebirth, it just, the cover kind of represents all that. So it just kind of seemed to like meant to be, I guess, if you will. So we're super excited about it. And also just like, it doesn't look like a band's artwork. It just looks like a piece of art, because obviously it was created as a piece of art. So for me, I like it because I can even just appreciate just looking at it as a piece of art. So it's really exciting to have something like that seems like it could be somewhat timeless.
Definitely. I think it looks cool. I'd like that it's a little different than an average album cover you would see. So that's pretty cool.
We're always trying to do that. We're always trying to like see what everyone else is doing. It's like, let's not do that. Like, let's not do a dark cover made with this like fake figure that's, super gory or whatever it may be. Like, it just like, it doesn't seem to be anything that interests us. So having something that just seems more like emotive and like artistic is something that I'm more drawn to. So seeing this, I'm like, this just kind of scratches an itch that I'm looking for. So instead of just doing what would be typical of, doing some sort of like dark, gory, or occult-esque cover, it's like we've seen it 1,000 times, so might as well just try something else.
So with you guys dropping To the Hellfire as your first single with the new singer, what made you guys pick that song for the first single for your guys' fans to hear?
So reason being is we wanted to unveil Will with the best song possible. So since that song, Hellfire, was written with the intention of being a song meant to display Will, we were like, let's go with that song, because this song, he does a great job at all 3 songs, but I think it's because that one really just shows the over-the-topness of him as a vocalist. So it's like, let's just wow people with his vocals out the gate, because anyone who's doubted us, who's doubted him, who's had, lack of confidence in the band, it's like, let's just show you that you're an idiot. I say that in the nicest way possible. Like, so here is like, just like your criticism, your feedback is unnecessary, because here's to show you that you're a moron. And I say this in the nicest way possible. I love everybody, but shut up. So we chose a song that was really just like to silence everybody pretty much. And I think that song displayed his vocals very appropriately. Also it's just very over the top vocally. So it's just like, here, if you doubt our ability as a band, if you doubt him as a vocalist, like, suck on that.
It's pretty intense, not gonna lie, especially the ending. I was like, whoa, wasn't expecting that. But it's cool though.
It shows him in such a way, and like that was the intention of the song. It's like, let's just write a song that is a softball for a vocalist to display himself in a magnitude of ways. So it's just like, here's 3 breakdowns so you can display his range. Here's a chorus to be something to display his like digestibility and his catchiness. Here's all the stuff to just really sum up how he can sound in one song. So it's just a good way to unveil someone, rather than like the other 2 songs, which feel like, I think they're better songs, but like they don't display him as good as Hellfire does, because that song displays his wide array of vocals. And it's also just a lot of, I mean, it's a way to silence any sort of critics as well. So it's somewhat a kind of our clapback, if you will, for the year and a half of people telling us that we're going to be terrible. So thank you.
And with you guys dropping that, what was your fans' reactions?
Unanimously awesome. And I got a lot of messages saying I was wrong and I apologize. So I definitely gloated and I made them feel pretty bad, but that was definitely wrong with me. But it was really good. It was really like seeing so many people like support the band, people that I didn't think even knew who the band was supporting the band. It was just so awesome. And we're so like humbled and like grateful for it. It just feels good to be received in a positive light, I think, so it was just awesome to have that. And it was awesome that our fans are, welcoming Will with open arms, which is really awesome. We appreciate that. And it's just nice that even the metal community is supporting the band, and it's just been a really unanimously positive experience. And obviously we're all very overwhelmed by it. And it's just been awesome, and it's just cool to kind of be seen in the light that you want to be seen in.
Definitely. So you guys dropped the music video for that song. What was the process recording that music video?
That was a very long day. So we shot it with Eric DiCarlo of Square Up Studios. He's from our area, so we're like, listen, like, you know, the world's still kind of shut down. We can't really travel. You know, we don't know how it's going to be to travel. So let's you know, he's in our area. He does some good videos. That's kind of, he's been wanting to work with the band, so we went to work with him. And we just wanted the video to be a performance video. Like, if this is a video that we're unveiling Will, let's not water it down with story stuff. Let's just really just display the band and have more shots of Will, and you know, just be a performance video. So we just wanted a nice, clean performance video. I wanted to get fire in the video because the song is called To the Hellfire. So that was cool that I'm standing in front of a bunch of flames. So that's exciting. But yeah, it was just like a very, you know, it was a long shoot. So, but it was a good day. It was, thankfully, it was close and local, and Eric was great to work with. You know, on the shoot, he was very demanding, but I mean, I think the video came out well because of all that. So it's definitely exciting to do that video, and it came out the way it did. It just served the purpose of just really like, here's the band. Here's a good quality video. It displays Will. It displays the band. It looks really nice. It looks professional. It's shot really well, and everything about it. So it was a very long day. You know, I don't think I got home till like 4 a.m. And the worst part about it is that we haven't played shows in a while. So like, I've been only playing guitar sitting down. So for the first time in about a year, I was having to move around. And I literally, for 3 days, I felt like an action figure. Like, I could only just move like this. Like, I couldn't move my neck. If I had to like move like this, and like my lower back hurt. So I literally just had to sit in this like fashion for about a good solid 3 days. So that was the worst part about it, because we're not used to like moving around anymore, because we've just been sitting playing guitar. So that was the rough part about it all. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely exciting. Definitely, you know, good quality footage, and we're excited about it. That was just the bad part, is that like I haven't moved like that in a while. So I definitely felt that for a solid 3 days. So
that's insane. Do you guys have any plans to record any other music videos?
Yes, actually, we do have a video that just pretty much got finished recently. So it's for the title track, "And I Return to Nothingness," and we shot that with our buddy Joey Durango, who shot most of our videos. So from you know, Immortal, you know, Flesh Coffin, Funeral Moon, This Is Hell, King of Deception. Like, he's done a lot of our videos, and he shot the video "And I Return to Nothingness," and it's definitely my favorite video. There's some shots of me that I'm like, I'm so glad I had this, and I look way cooler than I think I look. So so it's definitely excited to release that, because the video looks just massive and awesome, and I'm so excited because it's my favorite song, and the video looks phenomenal. So I'm just so pumped to have that.
Hell yeah. And do you see yourself recording any playthroughs of you playing guitar?
Been trying to do that. I want to do that. I never make time to do that anymore, because I don't really think about that. I'm always thinking about all the other band stuff. So putting myself in the individual spotlight is like weird for me to do. So I'm always just like, let's think about the band. So I'm only thinking about the band. I never think about just Adam D'Amico. But I know I want to, because I've been wanting to display myself on guitar and do that stuff. I've always wanted to do ideas like that. So I think that's definitely our intention, to do a bunch of playthroughs for this EP, just because why not? And I've always wanted to. So, but yeah, so I definitely hope to do it. It's just always weird for me, because I don't look at myself in that light of like, let's focus on just Adam. I'm always just like, let's focus on Lorna Shore and stuff like that. So.
Dang. Well, you should, for sure. I think the fans would love to see it, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Same.
So where can everyone keep up with your band and buy this amazing new EP?
Okay, so you can keep up with our band on, you know, socials like every band has: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I mean, we're probably the most active on Instagram. And just, you know, at Lorna Shore. As far as buying our merch, we have our merch store. You can find it in a plethora of different places. A lot of things are sold out, like the vinyl, but you can buy other things if you don't want the vinyl. So you can buy at our own merch store, which is Lorna Shore merchstore.com, I believe, or official Lorna Shore merch store. I forget the website, so forgive me on that. And then we have some merch on our indie merch store. So we are also on indie merch as well. And then you can buy our merch in Impericon if you're overseas. And if not, you can go to the Century Media store and you can buy, I think there's some records left over there. So you could, if you can't seem to find it nowadays, that's a you problem. There's many outlets to be able to find Lorna Shore merch and everything else like that. You can follow us on Instagram, follow the personal Instagrams, and you can just see us doing whatever we do. So, but yes, we you could find us pretty much anywhere if you'd like to.
Definitely. Well, I'd like to thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate having the time to talk about myself and Lorna Shore and speak on behalf of the band. So I'm grateful to have the opportunity to talk about the band. And it's been a long time since we've been able to, so I'm just very humbled by it.
Definitely. Well, we're gonna end the show with some more Lorna Shore. We're gonna end it with "And I Return to Nothingness" from Lorna Shore. See you guys next Monday here on Razor Radio.